there. I'm going to be analyzing chapter 16 through 20 of Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, of course. First question is, in chapter 16, why does Miss Turner despise tea cake and want Janie to leave him and marry Mrs. Turner's brother? Well, Miss Turner is mixed race, and she does not like Janie associating with black people. She has a strong disdain for them. She feels that Janie and herself are since they're partly white, they should be lightening the race by mixing with folks that are not black so that they feel more superior. In a sense, pretty much she's just very racist. She doesn't like that Janie's with tea cake. He's like, how could you be with someone who's so dark and things like that. So she just wants her to marry her brother pretty much because he's obviously lighter skinned and he can provide for her more than tea cake pretty much. So second question says, in chapter 17, why do you think that Janie weeps but does not protest or fight back when tea cake beats her? I think because it's a choice. It's not it's hard. This one's kind of tricky to explain because I feel like Janie loves tea cake so much that she just kind of accepts it. She could fight back. It's not implying that Janie does not have a voice when she didn't have with Joe or with Logan. She finds herself to be equal with tea cake, but she loves him so much that she feels like they're so equal that she can choose to not fight back. And this is kind of a little hard for me to explain because I feel because she loves him so much, she's kind of compromising this new sense of freedom with the love that she has for him. So she's putting that at risk because of how much she loves him. So it's not necessarily a good thing that she doesn't fight back. That's just my opinion though. Third question, in chapter 18, Hurston writes that Janie and tea cake, they seemed to be staring at the dark, but their eyes were watching God. What does this sentence mean, in your opinion? So I think, well, obviously this is the title of the story. Their eyes were watching God. So this is kind of where you see the title of the story come into fruition. I think in this moment, when they refer to as their eyes are watching God, it's kind of saying they're in a hurricane, right? They see that there's a hurricane coming towards them. Even though it's dark, their eyes are watching God. It's they have a kind of a lack of control. They cannot control what's going to happen to them. They're either going to survive this hurricane or they're not. And whatever God intends is whatever's meant to be. So it kind of shows they're watching what's going to happen. And obviously this story has so many it alludes to a lot to nature. And from the very beginning of the story you see nature so heavily involved, the horizon, the pear, the heavy symbolism with nature. And so it kind of only makes sense that a natural disaster, that they are just they don't have any control. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. That's the way I kind of think that means, the lack of control that you have in your life, which it's obviously evident in all of Janie's story. Fourth question, in chapter 19, what does tea cake's illness seem to symbolize to Janie? I think it symbolizes to Janie, this one was a little difficult to explain, but it kind of shows to Janie it's obviously foreshadowing tea cake's death, when they're when they're in the water and TK gets, bit in the face. And he seems to be like getting jealous and everything. But he feel like he's not himself. I think to Janie it symbolizes, especially like his death scene, I think is what this question is trying to ask. It kind of shows that Janie is now secure in herself. Like, even though she loves TK so much, like, she realizes that she has to kill him to save herself. And even though, like, obviously it's the most horrible thing to kill the person you love so much, she has grown so much that she can take care of herself before others. And I think, like they say, like, you should learn to love yourself before you love others. And I feel like Janie has finally got to that point. So I think it symbolizes Janie's growth and like the care that she has for him, like what she's willing to do to take care of himself and her, if that makes sense. Question number 5, in chapter 20, what does Janie determine that tea cake did for her? Is tea cake closely related to the novel's major theme? What is the novel's major theme or message, in your opinion? So I think Janie determines that, I feel like she found love at the end of the story. Like, it all comes back, to the beginning of her telling the story to Phoebe, of her whole journey and her whole life and the sacrifices and everything that she's made. I think tea cake showed her that, suffering and like the death is like, it's necessary for self-discovery. So he helped her discover herself, even though like the relationship with tea cake wasn't like perfect per se, but it's like tea cake helped her live for herself, and I think the theme of the story is just what Janie says. Like, I think it has to do with living for yourself and to be self-fulfilled, to find yourself. And like how I was saying, like, you have to find yourself before you go out there. But if you're gonna go out there, just know that like there's a lot of suffering involved, but eventually you're gonna find someone that is going to really show you the meaning of true love. And I thought for the longest the theme of the story was love, but I think that was just a part in like conveying the message that Janie had to find herself. And yes, love was a part of it, but I don't think that was the overall message. It was about doing things for yourself regardless of anybody, like not following her grandma's dream. She wasn't happy, so she kept moving on, fighting against society's norms and just trying to live like that fulfilling life that you can without caring what others think about you. And if something's not right in your life, you just keep fighting, keep going forward. And it's not easy, but at least tea cake gave her like how I kept mentioning, the horizon that she was looking for. And even though he's not here to enjoy the rest of his life with her, she now has all these memories of him that make her happy, and she's satisfied with her life. She doesn't care what anybody thinks. She's just doing the best that she can. So yeah, thank you so much.